Welcome to a conversation with Senator Michael Moore. My name's Kevin Byrne, and Senator Michael Moore is our state senator representing Shrewsbury and some other communities that are around. Actually, there are at the moment 7 of them altogether and a piece of the city of Worcester. And now you have been redistricted, and I'm going to have to learn all the other places that you're not representing and all the new places that you are representing.
It will be easier
Senator?
because it will be easier because it's less communities.
Less communities.
So, and there'll be full communities now.
Full communities.
Well, except for Worcester. Yeah, so I'll have all of Westboro.
Okay.
And I'll be losing Leicester, Northbridge, and Upton. And my area in Worcester is going to shift a little
Okay,
north.
so I'm saying 7 and Worcester, so it's going to be 4 and Worcester. Whatever.
Auburn, Millbury, Grafton, Shrewsbury, Westboro, and Worcester, 6.
All right, you've done that correctly,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Now, would you touch your nose, please, while you're doing all that?
Well, listen, it doesn't sound
If
like...
you ever get stopped, Senator, just say, let me tell you, okay, never mind the alphabet. Let me tell you about Leicester, Auburn, and all the rest of it.
Yes.
All right, how are you since we last met?
I'm very good, thank you.
And we last met just several weeks ago.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's gone by fast.
right, it went by fast.
Yeah.
Okay, we do this in clips, but we're back in the real world. I know. You know,
The normal is back?
It's been so long I've forgotten what normal is, okay? But I mean, I know there's still a little bit of the Cove stuff around, but, you know, people are getting out. We're doing things. You, my goodness gracious, okay? I've told you a few times, I am a Facebook peeper, okay? I really comment, but my goodness, you are all over the place. Because you are up for re-election.
Well, the sad part is
Come in September.
The sad part is I do that all the time.
I know you do. It hasn't stopped, for Pete's sake. When are you going to get tired of this?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. Right now, it's still enjoyable. We'll see how it goes.
There you are. Okay. All right. You're not going to run for lieutenant governor. Everybody's running for lieutenant governor.
No, everyone's running for lieutenant governor. We got people running for auditor, secretary of state, attorney general.
They're all over the place,
Yeah.
for Pete's sake. So enough of that. It's
Yeah.
going to be a busy. It's going to be a busy November.
It is.
By the way, just from the local point of view, today is May 3rd. Today is election day in the
Yes.
beautiful community of Shrewsbury. Obviously, none of you will see this program until the election is all over.
So, what are your predictions?
No. I'm too old. I'm too old for predictions.
You don't have the beat of the town?
No, the only prediction I have is that I am running for town meeting member from Precinct 6.
Oh, okay.
So all of you who can somehow finagle to vote after May 3rd, never mind. Nobody can do that sort of stuff anyway. It's very interesting. I commented to you just before we started that because of the census, the town of Shrewsbury, which has 10 precincts, we have 240 town meeting representatives, each representing one of the 10 districts, and they're usually 20 to 30 town meeting members from each precinct, okay? Because of the census changes and the population changes in Shrewsbury, we have, it was determined that the only way that it could be done is that all 240 of us are up for re-election this year.
Okay. That's going to be a big ballot.
Which is it changing. I said, hey guys, I just got re-elected last year. Why now? And they said, no, everybody has to do it again, okay? And then the way it's going to be allocated is that on the number of votes that you've gotten, whether you will get a 3-year term, a 2-year term, or a 1-year term.
So when you do town meeting...
So that then we can get back on the view that only, 1/3 every year comes up for election.
So when you run for town meeting member,
Yeah.
is it by precinct?
Precinct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm precinct 6.
How many town meeting members were in precinct 6?
24.
Okay, so every precinct's gonna have 24, or is it depending on?
Yeah, it depends upon the size of the precinct.
Okay.
There's only one precinct that was short. They're precinct 3, I think it was, which is very, very small. It's down a portion of the lake.
Okay.
And, they were allocated 10 town meeting members, and only 5 were up for election. So it's going to be write-ins.
Okay.
That happens every so often
Yeah.
in town, that, there's one slot open and everybody writes in whoever they want on it. But it'll be very, very interesting. And our town meeting this year is going to be on a Saturday morning, rather than the traditional third Monday in May.
No, actually, I went to Westboro's town meeting for obviously my first time.
Yeah.
And that was on a Saturday night. That went from 9 in the morning until I think they said midnight,
Oh, you're kidding? All day long?
all day long,
Oh,
yeah.
goodness gracious.
Yeah.
God.
And they were telling me that in some years past, that they've actually gone that long and then have had to have multiples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've done that, and my years as moderator, 35 of them.
You didn't gavel everything through?
Well, I did the best I could, but sometimes you just, democracy has to rule, and
Yes.
we have gone to traditionally 2 nights,
Okay.
7 to 10:30, and occasionally we
Well,
had
that-
to put in a third night.
Well, that I can understand, the 7 to 10:30 and it.
Yeah,
But
that's
to have a town meeting go from 8 or 9 on a Saturday morning till
Till it's
midnight.
finished.
And then another.
Oh, and then have to do it again. Oh.
That's the part that I was found very interesting.
Okay.
That you'd have that much involvement, which is good. It's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's very unusual. You
Well,
hear
we're
it.
talking, Shrewsbury, Westboro still has an open town meeting, okay? About half of the towns have gone to representative elected with a
Yeah.
fixed number, whatever that number, 240 is the traditional number. But many of the towns still have an open town meeting in which every registered voter is allowed to come. And when you start getting into, controversial issues that are coming out, you have a crowd. Westboro at times. I used to go. It was a good friend of mine, I want to say Jim Harrington, who was the moderator in Shrewsbury for a whole bunch of years. And I used to go down and say, it'd be easier for you, Jim, if you only had 240 to deal with rather than 2,040 who could come to the meeting anyway.
Well, I think so far.
But they had used to have it where they'd fill the auditorium and they'd have to do put them in the gym with a television screen.
Yeah, I mean, currently right now, Leicester has an open town meeting.
Yep.
Auburn is town meeting
Town meeting
member.
members, yeah.
Then you have Millbury's open, Grafton's open.
Yep. Yep.
Northbridge is open, Upton's open,
Yep.
and Westboro. So it's really just, in the city of Worcester where they have the council, so there's no,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's really just right now in the Senate district.
It's very interesting because
Yeah.
ours went, when we went to the town meeting form of government in 1953, right at the very beginning, they said, we're going to be representative. And at that point in 53, the population of Shrewsbury was relatively small.
Yeah.
It's very interesting about taking up a lot of time talking about Shrewsbury, but that's where we are. We're in Shrewsbury, okay? When we moved to town in 1967, can you believe that? We've lived on Elmer Circle since 1967.
I was 4 years old.
I don't want to talk about that, okay? The population of Shrewsbury was about 16 or 17,000. The latest census, the 21 federal census, that's all the big numbers, it's at 38,000. A little bit of a change.
Yeah.
And no, we're not going to change to a city. We're going to stay at town. It's going to work.
Well,
okay.
if you keep growing, at some point you will.
Okay. Well, we're going to stop growing because we're running out of places to grow on.
You and a lot of people probably wish that, but
It's still happening.
Yeah.
It really is. All right. Let's talk about things that are happening under the Golden Dome. Okay. The first thing is when we finished our last session, we got caught up with talking about all sorts of interesting stuff, and we got to the budget, and you were starting to go through
and then Liz cut us off.
process, and Liz said, tell him to stop, okay? And I said, okay, in the middle of it. we stopped. It's still in process, correct?
Yes, so the House is finished with the budget. We're still looking at analyzing everything that was done. So,
Okay.
so they finished it. We will be releasing the budget, I think May 16th or the 17th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It's not too far off.
Yeah, and then we will start budget debate May 21st. I think it's that Monday.
Okay.
That's 22nd, maybe?
Okay.
I can tell you. It's the week before, the last week with Memorial Day. So, let's see here. It will,
But whatever. So in any event, it is conceivable that
May 23rd, yep.
we could have this done in June.
Well, that's, I guess possibly, yeah. It's obviously going to be see what we do in the Senate, how drastically different it's going to be from the House budget.
Okay.
So, I know a couple things that the House did. I should say one in particular. There's one thing for that they passed for universal free lunch.
Yeah.
That's I think 100 or 110 million dollars.
Right.
So that will be probably like a major emphasis on our side on what we're going to do there.
Okay. The issue that's rather interesting is, from all the numbers that I hear, and you had mentioned it the last show, that revenue intake is up.
Yeah.
And it boggled me when you said that, and
Yeah, if we keep
crazy.
if we keep
We're
pace.
making more money than you guys ever expected we were going to take in.
When COVID hit, we were told to expect at the end of that fiscal year a $6 to $7 billion deficit.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. We had a surplus of about 1.2,
Isn't that
1.3
amazing?
billion
Yeah.
dollars.
Right.
And now we're on pace. We're exceeding the estimates that we were at.
Right.
So we could see another 1.5 to $2 billion.
Okay.
Now, there's been, I know we're in May. We only have one more month, but with all this talk of a recession, I mean,
Right.
I don't know if that's going to slow things down for the May numbers, or maybe when the April numbers come in, we may see something a little lower. But right now, we're on pace for a significant surplus again.
Isn't that intriguing?
Yeah.
It's very interesting with, so-called inflation, not so-called inflation going up. The cost of stuff is going up. So people are spending more money than they would prior to an inflation
And buying less.
period. Or maybe they're not buying less, because there are some things, you can't stop buying.
Yeah.
Food, drink, gasoline, all that sort of good stuff, really. Hey, there are some things that Shelley and some nice guy named Eric,
Alex,
I'm sorry.
yes, he's my new media or press person.
Well, he's a good guy.
Yes,
Okay,
yep.
and let's talk about a couple of things that are coming up. Something called the Drive Act.
Well, this
Senate
is
Bill 2819.
yes. What this is, the House
Anybody
did,
wants to know numbers.
the House did an offshore wind bill a few months ago, several months ago.
And this deals with
Climate change.
Climate change.
Yep. So this is the Senate version, and we always give nice little names to these things, catchy names.
Yeah.
So what this would do, the bill addresses three primary areas: clean energy, transportation, and buildings. The goal is to get us to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. So there's an investment of $100 million into research and emerging green solutions, streamlines the offshore wind project approval process, and hopefully it changes some rules and cuts some red tape as far as the licensing and regulation of
Right.
solar power, residential solar power.
Right.
So one thing and this may be down in the building section, is we established in this a pilot program that up to 10 communities can, and this is by local option, so it's not a mandate, it's not, we've had several communities that want to be within the first 10 to be a pilot to go to clean energy or renewable energy.
Right.
So they will change their building codes, and all new buildings that will go up will be clean energy.
That's gotten a bunch of press.
Yes.
Quite
So now, I know this,
basically saying, rather than building a building with gas heat or oil heat,
electric.
it's to be changed to electric.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, so I know there were some issues with some of the labor unions as far as this goes. They thought about displacing some of their workers. Also, there was an issue about there's going to be some substantial costs that could be put on homeowners who now want to have to transition or want to transition over to electric heat. But there's going to be some grant programs that are going to be in place to hopefully, or tax incentives to hopefully try to address that.
It's intriguing, Michael, because I can remember way back a whole bunch of years ago in which in Shrewsbury the cost of electricity had gone crazy, and we have our own electric company.
Yes,
and our rates were always lower than the other companies that run National Grid and all the rest of it. But everybody was saying, my God, the cost of electricity is going crazy, How do we get gas? How do we get a gas line down our street? And how do we stop Kevin from coughing? It's worrying about electric bills.
So that's, and then what we're also doing for transportation, cars. We are going to be providing a state mandate of
Do you have an
3,500.
electric car?
No.
Okay, I don't need it.
Well, so right now, currently, let's go through. So we're going to have make electric cars more affordable by increasing the state rebate to $3,500. Purchasers who trade in gas or diesel car will qualify for an additional $1,000 rebate. Extends electric car rebate to used vehicles. Rebates will be administered at point of sale. Establishes a council to oversee charging station infrastructure. Passed an amendment to ensure this cybersecurity is considered in this infrastructure, which is actually on my amendment, and electrifies MBTA bus system by 2040 and requires MBTA to develop and implement an electrified commuter rail plan. Now, going back to the cars, right now, federally, there's a $7,500 tax incentive that you get, tax credit. So with this $3,500, that brings us up to $11,000. So, right, 35 and 75, yeah, 11,000. So
I was an English major. I can't do anything.
and then if you get this additional $1,000 for the rebate if you turn in a gas or diesel car, you could qualify for that. There's currently federal legislation pending that would increase that $7,500 to $12,000. So if
So lots of incentives
because
to purchase.
because the problem right now with electric cars is they are very, very expensive.
Rather.
So the goal is that with these rebates, over they're
Are
thinking.
we talking exclusively electric? I mean, now
Yes, because this
they're
legislation, if the Senate version passes,
a pure electric
bans
car.
combustible car sale of combustible engines by 2035. So in they're estimating that by late 2025, 2028, around there, that used cars will come down to a price of roughly 27,000, 28,000. With the rebates, we can continue to lower the cost. This also requires mass save. That's the 10 pilot program.
Yeah. It'd
we
be interesting to see what happens with
We also did
I want to
sports
talk
betting.
about something else.
Okay.
This sports betting thing has been
I
kicked
thought
around.
you were getting a kick from Liz.
I am getting
Okay.
a kick from this.
Okay.
You get kicks from Shelley, your chief of
Yes,
staff.
yes, I do.
I get kicks from Liz and Mrs. Byrne, okay? There it is. Talk about this. This was kicked around for a long, long time, and I'm not terribly sure why. But in any event, where is it? I mean, right at the moment, they're talking about being able to bet on professional games. And I know all of the local colleges, all the colleges around said, no, don't include us with that for all sorts of potential reasons.
So the House passed it in September.
They did.
Yep. And
What
it
about you guys?
Sat with us.
Yeah.
To the dismay of many of us, because we wanted some of us wanted this move for sooner. We actually did it last week, I think the week before.
Okay.
We did not include
Colleges.
or that whole esports. And the reason we didn't do colleges is one reason is because all the colleges came in opposition from here, came in opposition to it.
Exactly, right.
The esports they did not include that either. So right now, it allows betting professional sports, Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, and NHL, wagering to be offered online, in person.
No credit cards.
No, no credit cards. ATM card, but no credit card.
Oh, okay, so.
And there'll be 6 licenses, one
You've
per
got a
that's-
card which is, direct deposit,
Yeah, so you-
you
yeah.
use it, it comes right out of.
It comes right out of your account,
your
yep.
account, really,
Yep.
and sure. Now, setting up places where this is going to occur, are we gonna be into this New York situation where?
Well, we mandate, there's
Or is it
there's
just gonna-
6, and the 6 has to be done by regional basis. So it's trying to provide some sort of regional equity
Okay,
for this, and
okay,
they're expected to raise about, I think, 35 million. Now, the House version, if I remember correctly, the number they had was about, I think it was 75 million.
Wow.
But that's with the addition of sports, with college and esports.
Oh, I
I personally, there wasn't a roll call on this. We did it, just did it by
I
voice
know.
vote,
Yeah.
which was unusual, but, there's many,
You want-
there's
you want-
certain aspects in the House version. that-
You want to keep Charlie Baker wondering what the numbers are.
What he can what he can veto and what he can't.
Well, because he was, do I understand, he wasn't in favor of this,
Actually, no, I don't know.
really? Well,
I don't know if he is or not. That's a good question.
I thought he was. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's to me, as far as it not being roll called or a voice vote, it's really irrelevant because we still have to.
People are
it's-
betting on sports anyway.
Well, it's gonna go to conference, it's gonna come back for a final vote. And that's the overriding issue with a lot of us was that, look, it's out of the barn. The horse is out of the barn.
Sure.
You're not gonna be able to stop it. And even for us to say we're not gonna allow college, so I do think that's a flaw in the Senate bill. Because if we don't do the college, it's gonna be in the black market.
Yeah,
And
exactly
So
right.
I'd rather have regulation and some regulation trying to protect people.
To keep it under control.
Right. So I am hoping that aspect of the House bill will carry forward through conference, but we'll see.
It's amazing, all right. There's another issue, and we're not gonna be able to spend a lot of time on it, but the whole cannabis commission and issues regarding
Yes.
growing and selling cannabis, and you guys trying to figure out how you can do some sort of, how this can be done somehow
And-
equitably.
Social consumption sites.
Social oh, that's right, I forgot about that.
So now you can
Oh my
have,
God,
like,
that's right.
instead of a tobacco
Isn't there-
bar,
isn't there one-
you'll be able to have a cannabis bar.
Isn't there one in Worcester? Hasn't that already happened? No?
No.
No.
Well,
I
there
guess
was
somebody
one-
was proposing one.
There was one when the law first passed, someone opened up a club.
Yeah.
Where they couldn't sell it, but people could come in
Could come in and
smoke it
and
or
smoke it.
eat it, whatever.
Right.
So,
Which is absolutely intriguing. You could come in and smoke it, but every place else has no smoking signs.
so these consumption sites will be locations that you can get licensed. You'll get licensed from the city of town,
Yeah.
and you can you'll have a
Yeah.
cannabis or whatever you want social consumption site where you can go in.
Right.
You can have edibles. You can whatever's going to be under licensing products.
Right.
So the CCC, so the Cannabis Control Commission will have to get involved in setting up all the regulations.
And the long-term chairman just resigned. I don't know if you heard about that. Who's the fellow who was running it from the very beginning? His term ends in September, and the Boston Globe said he just put in his resignation to, I guess perhaps take the summer off and have a trip, and I can't think of
Blanking out on his name.
But he's the last of the original 5 commissioners that were on there. He served for 4.5 years.
Is it Steve something?
Yeah, I should know his name. I should have paid more attention to it anyway. The other aspect of this is trying to put some sort of control over what the cities and towns can drag out of these places.
Host committee agreements, yep.
What is it called?
A host committee agreement.
Host committee agreement, which is
So this-
basically how much money are you going to give this community so that we will think favorably on you, okay? It sounds like the Godfather movies to me in some sense, okay? What are you gonna do for me, okay?
So basically, what this will do, this will require host committee agreement fees will not be able to exceed 3% of a cannabis business annual gross sales and must be reasonably related to the associated with the hosting of a cannabis business in the city of town.
It probably, horses out of Bandora on that because most of the towns have done it, but there is still a lot, there will be more of these places.
Yeah.
I would expect.
Oh, there will be. So it's, you know,
I've had one experience with this. We have a daughter who lives in Los Angeles, in California, put it, and we went out to visit her, and that's 2 years ago now. And she said, there's one in downtown L.A.
Yep.
And I said, can we go there? And I was like a kid in a candy store. Literally, I've never been in one of these places, and I was intrigued with knowing absolutely nothing about it, the various kinds of little plants that there were and all of that sort of stuff. And then we got around to gummies and chewies and lollipops and all the rest of that stuff. And I said, goodness gracious, it's a whole new world.
Yeah,
For this
really is.
very old man.
if you really do, if you think of it.
I don't even want to ask my kids, about any of that, because sometimes you don't want to know stuff like that. Anyway.
But you think of the new opportunities it's going to give small business people.
Of course it
hopefully.
is. Of course it is, and it's here. And
Yeah.
we've got a liquor store on every street corner. Well, almost every street corner, and there is a move afoot to kind of open up the licensing requirements, at least on the state level.
Well, right now, if you are able to get a social consumption site,
Yeah.
there's no alcohol allowed to be.
Oh yeah, okay.
So no alcohol allowed.
No mixing and
Right,
matching. Huh?
right. So you won't be able to have a gummy and a drink to go to down it with, maybe a club soda. So
Well, you drink a cigar, but
drink a cigar, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you are. Okay. Liz is about to wave her hands at us, but can we have a pact that we will keep doing this
Yes.
on a real regular kind of basis?
I'd be
Okay?
more than happy to.
All right. I think it would be good for the community.
Yes,
To see
I
more
agree.
of you. Although I don't know how they could possibly see any more of you, because you are every place. Okay.
Thank you.
Uh, which is,
Oh.
and somebody says, well, it's election. I said it's an election year. It isn't. You've been doing this. For
Yeah.
how many bloody years have you been doing it? You
14.
are all over the place, and you have continued to do that. And it's one of the reasons that you're extraordinarily successful, because you know what? Not only do people see you, you have this marvelous ability to listen to people. Okay? I'm going to vote for you come November. And Shrewsbury's going to still be in where you are. Okay?
Well, I will say that that's one thing that when I ran, I didn't want to be the elected official that people said, "Oh, we only see him in elections."
Right.
So I try to maintain it. I will say it's hard getting back into the pace it was at, because as we saw a lot of people who retired
Yeah.
after COVID.
COVID, right.
To get back up to, like Saturday, I left the house at 8 a.m. I didn't get home until 8:30, 9 at night, and to get back into that pace again, it's got to build up a little bit.
What's made you successful, but more importantly, it's what's made you very helpful to people, because you listen to people. I don't know how many times we've done programs over the years in which I've said, where did that come from? And she said, I was at this place in
Yep.
Grafton, and I met somebody there who talked about this, and all of a sudden it developed into something.
Yeah,
All
quickly,
right,
I should go
congratulations.
quickly. Nikki's Law came from a constituent.
That was exactly what it was.
Yep.
Okay, I remember that. All right. I'm going to quit right now, because we haven't got enough time to get into a whole lot of other stuff. What?
You might want to just wish Selectman John LeBeau at his last
John,
meeting.
my
So
dear
good luck.
friend,
Thanks for your years of
John
service.
LeBeau, many years. Congratulations, John, on your retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us. We're going to be back in a very short period of time.